Have you ever wondered what really triggered the global conflict known as World War I? On a seemingly normal summer day, June 28, 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo. This single act of violence by a Serbian nationalist was the immediate catalyst for war. It set off a chain reaction among the major powers of Europe, all intertwined within a complex web of alliances and treaties, each bound to defend or attack under certain conditions. But was the assassination the sole cause, or merely the spark in a powder keg of larger geopolitical tensions? Picture a world wrapped in a web of alliances, each promising mutual defense and support. In the early 20th century, Europe was a fortress of treaties and promises. At the heart of this complex network were two formidable groups, the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance. The Triple Entente was a powerful trio comprised of France, Russia, and the United Kingdom, woven together by mutual interests and shared apprehensions. Opposing them stood the Triple Alliance, an equally robust pact between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, though Italy's loyalty was perceived as somewhat ambivalent. As these alliances solidified, a parallel escalation in armaments ensued. Nations raced to outdo each other in military might, building vast arsenals that included everything from dreadnought battleships to burgeoning artillery. This arms race not only exemplified the distrust among nations, but also dramatically increased the potential for conflict. Each country, armed to the teeth and bound by treaties to defend allies, found itself on a precipice, overlooking a landscape primed for war. With such entangled commitments, was peace ever truly an option? Now turn your gaze to the Balkans, the tinderbox of Europe. This region, a mosaic of ethnic groups and historical grievances, was a veritable cauldron of instability at the dawn of the 20th century. The Balkans were not just any trouble spot, they were a crucible where the aspirations and fears of both small and great powers converged. As the Ottoman Empire retreated, gasping its last imperial breaths, territories within the Balkans saw an opportunity to assert their independence or expand their influence. Serbia, brimming with nationalist fervor, aimed to stitch together South Slavic peoples under its leadership. This ambition, however, directly threatened Austria-Hungary, which had its own designs on the region. The great powers of Europe, Russia, Germany, and Austria-Hungary, were drawn into the fray, each driven by a blend of strategic interests and defensive apprehensions. This confluence of local ambitions and international intrigues created a highly volatile concoction, ready to explode at the slightest provocation. Thus, the stage was set not just for a regional skirmish, but for a global showdown. July 1914, a month that changed the course of history. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was more than just a tragedy. It was the spark in a tinderbox of escalating tensions. The dominoes began to topple with a startling rapidity, each one accelerating towards a war that would engulf the world. Austria-Hungary, feeling the sting of the assassination and the constant pressures of nationalism within its borders, issued an ultimatum to Serbia. The demands were almost impossible to meet in full, designed perhaps to justify a war. Serbia's response, while conciliatory, wasn't sufficient for Austria-Hungary, who then declared war on Serbia on July 28. The ripple effects were immediate. Russia, bound by Slavic ties and alliances, began to mobilize its vast forces in support of Serbia. Germany, allied to Austria-Hungary, and seeing Russian mobilization as a direct threat, declared war on Russia on August 1st. Days later, Germany declared war on France, pulling the yet hesitant powers into the vortex of conflict. In just over a month, the world's major powers were locked in a conflict that none could easily escape. As the guns fell silent in 1918, the world map had been redrawn, heralding new conflicts and shaping the 20th century. The cataclysm of World War I was not born in isolation. It was the fruit of a complex lattice of alliances, an arms race of unprecedented scale, and a fierce nationalism that swept across nations. Reflecting on the causes, it becomes clear that the intricate alliances formed between major powers like the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance created a precarious balance. Any small conflict had the potential to escalate into a full-scale war, as each nation was bound to defend its allies. This network of alliances, once meant to preserve peace, instead paved the way to the battlefield. Militarization further fueled the fire. Nations expanded their armies and navies, creating a sense of impending threat among neighbors. This arms buildup did not just prepare countries for conflict, it almost seemed to invite it. Nationalism, with its double-edged sword, also played a crucial role. It unified people within nations, but also set them against each other, turning minor disputes into matters of national pride and survival. The consequences of these actions were profound. The Treaty of Versailles, designed to end the conflict and strip Germany of its military power, left a bitter taste in economic hardship, which would later contribute to the rise of extremism. National borders were redrawn, empires dismantled, and the map of Europe reconfigured, setting the stage for further unrest and the eventual ignition of World War II. Thus, World War I, a war to end all wars, instead set the stage for an even greater global conflict. Understanding these causes and consequences helps us grasp the fragile nature of peace.